Big numbers. 100 minute bag, that's a big number. Big numbers. Big numbers. Whole team counted, that's a big number.
Hey, foreign cars, foreign bras, foreign seats with the foreign leather. Foreign number, put the card in the...
Well, welcome in to another installation of the No Look Podcast, Austin. A deal is a deal, and at the end of the day, Austin lives up to what deals he makes.
I'm a man of my word.
He's a man of his word. Obviously, what had happened and what has taken place, the Packers have yet again let my man, your boy Yosoy, down again.
Wasn't even in the goddamn NFC Championship game either.
Divisional round, Niners beating the Packers. We might as well just get right into it. Austin, what are your reactions to losing to the Niners once again in the NFL playoffs?
Well, Aaron Rodgers 0-4 against the Niners in the playoffs, and, it's fair to say that I saw this one coming. Just a complete shit show of a game. Neither team was doing anything on offense, and of course their kryptonite in the end was their special teams, which has been completely terrible all year long. Just a shitty game to watch. They scored. They come out on the opening drive, score a touchdown. I'm sitting there like acting all cool, like, oh, we got this, no problem. It's in the bag. Like, this is different this year. What happens? Come out, same old Packers, same old Aaron Rodgers, just playing scared, not putting any points up on the board. I mean, the defense looked terrific. Zadarius Smith in there, Rashawn Gary getting sacks, Jair was playing. The Niners didn't do anything on offense really. Their only touchdown came off that blocked punt. But yeah, just you can't score 10 points in a playoff game and expect to win.
I'll allow you to take the bag off. I appreciate you letting us see your deal, unless you want to keep it on the whole entire show.
No, I don't want to show my face.
Okay.
I'm disgraced. I'm disgusted. The Packers, LaFleur comes out. He's like, oh, he's got all the records for most wins in his first 3 seasons or whatever. It's like, for what? Aaron Rodgers is now 11-10 in the playoffs. He's a 500 playoff quarterback, basically. For someone that's often referred to as one of the best of all time, that just can't happen.
No, I mean, that Packers-Niners game was, I could tell it was going to be a long game for Austin from the start. The Niners, they were hanging in there. The Packers were looking really good in the first half, obviously. But the Niners came back in the second half. I think the biggest difference between this Niners team from when they faced you the last time in the NFC Championship to the one that you're seeing now is obviously Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel absolutely went berserk. He's your wide receiver, running back, prototypical kind of athlete player that they have in the NFL these days. Last time you guys lost, it was Raheem Mostert. Now it was Deebo Samuel's. Austin, I'll have a series of questions for you for this whole entire Packers segment. What is the main focus, I guess, going into the offseason now that you're losing to the Niners? What is your main focus in potentially beating the Niners or moving on to the Super Bowl, getting to that point from here on out?
I mean, it'll definitely change in a few months, I feel like, Tyler. There's still a lot of uncertainty going on with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, first and foremost, you got to fire the special teams coordinator. Like, get that guy out of town, put him on a fucking plane, ship him back off to wherever he came from. Obviously Crosby had his struggles. Bojorquez, the punter, is okay.
Quick. Unacceptable, by the way, by the special teams coordinator. 10 players on the field for the field goal kick for the Niners to win the game. The Packers had 10 people out there. Just absolutely unacceptable. I mean, there was a joke going around TikTok that's as many people as he could count on his fingers. It just seems that the special team is a joke there in Green Bay.
I don't know. Something's got to change, Tyler. Amongst the sadness I was feeling last night from the Packers, and a feeling I know all too well from their past season struggles, I was telling you, a hell of a 24 hours. I drank probably 16 White Claws. I had multiple tequila cocktails at the bars. Um, I broke my phone. I don't know if you can see this on the camera right there. Dropped it on the ground waiting for my Uber. And then when I went to go pick up my car today, I had left my keys in my friend's house. So I brought my spare keys and the fucking battery's dead in the keys. So I had to walk to this convenience store on Balboa Island to grab more batteries to start my car. My phone was dead. I couldn't call anyone. I couldn't have Mark turn back around to pick me up. Just completely in shambles. I mean, I think like if I had lost my wallet and I had no gas in my car, that would have just been the holy trinity. But I was down catalysmically, you know, today, the past 24 plus hours. Um, it was an experience. I won't get into the other details on stream, but I had a rough go at it, and I blame the Packers
rough
wholeheartedly.
go, rough go at it is not only awesome, but the Packers. Obviously, the biggest news in the media today was that Aaron Rodgers' last game at Lambeau Field. Austin, how do you feel about that? And what are your thoughts on moving forward? Do the Packers retain Aaron Rodgers, or was it actually his last game in Lambeau?
Gut instinct, I'd have to say I believe Aaron Rodgers returns as a Green Bay Packer. However, I've been very vocal about this. I think he would retire before he goes to a different team. I don't think we're going to see Aaron Rodgers in a different uniform. You know, we talk about it all the time. Like Brady loves the game of football. Um, he puts his body on the line every single day on Sundays, and you saw that today. He had like a cut lip. Everyone was making a big deal about it. But Rodgers, I just think he has a lot going on off the field where football probably isn't his main, life goal or his the biggest aspect of his life. So clearly it shows because as much as he is talented and one of the best quarterbacks of all time, you can't take that away from him. But at the same time, it's like, you know, I just don't really think he risks it all as much as like Brady does, and it shows.
So saying that Aaron Rodgers is coming back to the Packers, then you retain Aaron Rodgers as a Packers fan, you run it back.
Yes.
Do they get Devontae Adams back if they run it back with Aaron Rodgers?
Well, if Rodgers stays, then yeah, 1,000% Devontae is going to
Are they
stay.
franchise tagging him or are they signing him to a long-term deal?
Well, again, it remains to be seen on the Rodgers contract situation. If they sign Rodgers, maybe they don't have the money to give Devontae the max, or vice versa. If they sign him on a year deal, they'll probably franchise tag Devontae, just to see what he wants to do the following year. But I mean, again, right now in this moment, I feel confident Rodgers will be back. I feel confident the Packers will go 13-4, and I also feel confident that the Packers will lose in the playoffs, like they do every fucking year. I don't even know why I get my hopes up. I mean, I guess it's like, don't let the pig see the knife or whatever that thing is, because it'll fucking sour the meat. It's like they just like get my hopes up. They play well all season long. It's like this year is different. This is going to be their year. And then what happens? They get the number one seed. They go in the playoffs and they lose to a fucking wild card team.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
the Niners are no joke. They have a solid team. I mean,
right.
pretty much the same roster that they went to the Super Bowl with a few years ago. But um, I don't know. You got the number one seed at home. The Lambeau elements, and you blow it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the Packers just didn't seem like they wanted to win that game. The 49ers looked like they were a team that wanted to win it, especially in the second half. They looked like the elements didn't bother them in Lambeau, kind of like how they were showing with the 2007 Giants went in there and beat the Packers. But with that saying the Packers, I was thinking about this today. because I hadn't heard from Austin in about 24 hours. I was kind of concerned. I was
I was
thinking
pretty much dead.
I would rather be a Raiders fan than a Packers fan in the terms of at least I know what I'm getting. And if they exceed my expectations, I'm still happy regardless if they lose in the playoffs or not. Whereas with Austin, it's, well, if we don't win the Super Bowl, then it's a bust. If we lose in the playoffs, it's a bust
Just
because
make the fucking Super Bowl. Come on, like let me get to the big game and have my team there to root for them. Can't
yeah.
even do that for me.
I mean, the Packers have. There was a Instagram post today that I wanted to send to you, but I didn't want to rub it in too much because I know he's been going through it, and I probably would have been too if I was a Packers fan. But they were like, at least invite Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, and the whole 2021 Packers team to my funeral so they could let me down in my grave one more time. So
Sounds about right.
I mean, that's pretty much it. The Niners move on. It wasn't a crazy, statistical game in terms of, a lot of back and forth. The defense obviously showed up. The Packers defense, as you said, they looked incredible. Chris Barnes showed out. I know you mentioned, a lot of other guys' names, but there was a lot of guys that Devondre Campbell, some other guys that kind of stepped up for the Packers, making it hard for the Niners. But at the end of the day, it's crazy. The Packers special teams finds a way to make the news, and that's exactly what happened here. And the Niners come out on top because of it. So now the Niners are going on to the NFC Championship game as the 6th seed, survive and advance. The same game that happened today, unless Austin, you have anything else to say?
Well, no, I mean, I guess I'll just close it on. It wasn't even a fun game to watch.
It wasn't.
I was talking to our buddy Morgan, a few moments ago, and I was like, "Sorry, pal, I feel your pain." And he's like, "Yeah, at least he said it was a good game. It was a fun game to watch. Yeah, they were putting points up. Like the Packers and the Niners were out there playing patty cake for half the game, and then the Packers special team decides to blow it in the end."
I mean, the Packers, they had Devontae Adams obviously had a big game for the Packers. They really didn't have any other options. MVS was out. Lazard wasn't even an option. Randall Cobb coming off
Well,
injury.
Bakhtiari being out really hurt them. They had to slide Bill Turner there to the left tackle position, and
Yeah.
Bosa just had a day.
Yeah. No, I mean, you got a lot of pressure on Rodgers having to throw the ball out a lot. Aaron Jones had a pretty decent game. I mean, Dylan went out a little bit. He had a touchdown in the first half, but I mean, I feel like Austin, I will be honest with you. I don't know if Matt LaFleur is the offensive coordinator at that point, because some of the play calls that he's making, it really doesn't make sense. I mean, you have the run penetration with Dylan and Aaron Jones, and you're kind of shying away from that and getting away from finding Adams, maybe play action pass to find Adams. And, obviously Tanyan's been out for the season. DeGuara missed a lot of big balls, but why are you going away from the run game? The run game has been so good for you. Aaron Jones had, I think, 172 or something like that, all-purpose yards for
Right.
the game, and they just totally disregarded that and got away from it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, they completely played into the Niners, game, like how they hoped they would play. Like they fell into the trap. Like they looked good on that opening drive. AJ Dillon scores. Him getting hurt definitely hurt the Packers in that game. Jones had a good day, but yeah, it's like you at least got to keep them on their toes because they literally played, like I said, played into their hand of how they wanted. The Niners, Bosa, their stellar pass rush, just really like took over the game. Rodgers didn't have enough time to get the ball out, and was that a yawn?
No, it was Raider heard something and just lifted his head. You know those little things that the door hits?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it like his head hit it.
I thought he like farted or something. It was loud.
He has been farting a lot tonight. I don't know what we fed him. But going back to
Yeah.
what you were saying on the Packers, there was one thing. The 49ers obviously missing their number one quarterback. Hey Raider, thanks for joining the podcast. Appreciate it. They were
Mascot.
missing their number one quarterback. that game. And yet it still didn't change the fact that they didn't go after, the backup cornerback that was replacing him with whether it was Adams or Lazard or whoever it was. So I feel like the whole entire play scheme wasn't really top tier, and the Packers, it just didn't seem like the Packers wanted to win this game. It was more of LaFleur was okay with losing to his mentor Shanahan and allowing the Packers to come back and stay in the game throughout. Because again, I don't feel like the Niners played their best game of football. I feel like a lot of it was, the Packers
Yeah.
were letting them stay in the game.
I mean, that's the Niners. They don't do anything too flashy. They're just like a hard-nosed, defensive, special teams. Jimmy G at times usually just does enough to get by and win football games, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
But I'm good.
Well,
I'm good on talking about the Packers.
I'll allow it. I was thinking about ripping you for the whole entire show today about the Packers, but you're wearing the bag. It's enough. I feel sorry for you. So the other game that happened on Saturday, the Bengals at Titans. Awesome. We were both upset on this game. The Bengals beating the Titans in a wild event, obviously by a field goal. The news was in the presser, Evan McPherson going up to Joe Burrow and saying, hey, it looks like we're about to go to the AFC Championship game, as he's strolling out to kick the field goal to win. It was a good game. It was a nail biter. The Titans came back. They kind of made it a game. The Bengals were up. They were kind of controlling the game, and then the Titans kind of came out. I feel like, though, Derrick Henry at the end of this was more of a decoy because he was a shell of himself.
Mhm.
Obviously, coming off of that foot injury, I don't know if anybody's going to come out and be a star like they were in the NFL with having a screw and plates put in your foot, but he was more of a shell of himself. So I don't know if it was a great move bringing him back, because I feel like, honestly, Austin, the Titans may have even won this game without having Henry in the game.
Yeah, I mean, you saw Foreman in there. He had a few nice runs. He looked pretty solid. I just think it comes down to in this one, the quarterback really, like, you know, at the end of the day, the Titans played Titan football. They ran the ball well. Like, AJ Brown scored a touchdown. Um, Tannehill didn't really make too many mistakes, but that's his play style. He doesn't do anything too flashy. He's not the greatest like skilled quarterback, passing the football at least. And, at the end of the day, just like Joe Burrow came through, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, all his weapons, and he just showed like why he is a top tier quarterback in this league.
And that's exactly it. I mean, Ryan Tannehill, I believe he had 3 interceptions against the Bengals.
Hmm.
One was just egregious at the line of scrimmage, throwing a screen pass, interception. But to have 3 turnovers, 2 to 3 turnovers, I'll say, against the Bengals in a divisional round absolutely changed the whole forecast of the game. They did show momentum throughout it. Obviously, Derrick Henry, I won't say he was more of a decoy because he did score. Devontae Foreman had a long run, getting A.J. Brown into it. A.J. Brown did exactly what A.J. Brown needed to do. I think he had like around 150 in receiving yards. So the team around him did what they needed to do. Tannehill, though, with those 3 interceptions, Mike Vrabel saying, I'm not going to point the finger. Not going to name names. Well, I'll do it for you, Mike Vrabel. Ryan Tannehill lost you that game. You lost the game in the divisional round as the 1 seed because of your quarterback, Ryan Tannehill, not being able to live up to the pressure or the hype of this game. Joe Burt came out and performed, and now they're going on to the AFC Championship.
Yeah, I mean, what was I gonna say? I had something locked up there, and then I got distracted by looking at myself in the paper bag on the Skype window. I don't know. Yeah, I mean I think it was Simmons, the Titans
Yes.
D lineman. He was wreaking havoc all day, but at the end of the day, like Joe Burrow just made more plays than he did enough to win the football game.
I mean, that's another great point. The Titans had.
Oh, I got it. Sorry. as if like the NFL isn't trolling me enough. Packers losing, like we've been calling the AFC North frauds all year long, and now one of the teams is in the AFC Championship
There you
game.
go. Yep. Yeah, I mean, Packers obviously not in it. You know, the NFC West is controlling the NFC. Obviously, you're going to have a champion out of the NFC West. Now you have a possibility of an AFC North and AFC West, which I could have called from the beginning. But going back on what you said, Jeffrey Simmons and the Tennessee Titans as a whole wreaking havoc on Joe Burrow. I think he had 7 or 8 sacks, which was a postseason record.
Hmm.
Um, and imagine that you still lose in the divisional round against the Bengals, who a lot of people projected weren't even going to win 5 games this year, are now going on to the AFC Championship. T. Higgins didn't have a great game. Jamar Chase, he was there. But Joe Burrow really connected. C.J. Usama had some big catches, but this Bengals team, they're scrappy. They're not going to go out, without a fight. Logan Wilson on the other side had a big game. Eli Apple really disrupted a few passes, so their defense is scrappy. I don't know how they're going to match up next week, but they got the job done in Nashville, and they're proving that they belong there. And I will say one thing, as a Raiders fan, this does solidify the loss a little bit more.
Right. Yeah. I mean, at this point, you're almost just rooting for the Bengals to be like, hey, we lost to the, AFC champions or Super Bowl champions. But yeah,
Yeah.
tough weekend to be a number one seed. Number one seeds are on the hot seat right now. Probably will not bet on any number one seeds throughout the March Madness tournament. Just not the number. Who would have thought number one is not the number that you want to be?
Well, I mean, speaking of that, Austin, number one seeds, another number one seed went down today, and that is the Tampa Bay Bucks. Losing to the Rams
Well, they
today
weren't a
sent.
one seed.
Well, they were the home seed. So I
Okay.
will say, okay, I see what you did there. The home team is what I'm talking about. Losing again today. The Bucks losing at home against the Rams. They might as well have been on one seed. In my mind, they were number one in my hearts, and they lost today, and it hurt.
No, it was a crazy game. Like, I think I popped in by the time I got up and went downstairs, probably woke up, opened my eyes around 12 noon. Took me a little bit. I was kind of slow getting out of bed in the morning. Anyways, it was like what, 27-3 or 27-6, and I'm like, oh shit, Rams, looking legit. And then all of a sudden, Tom Brady, and in the playoffs, make another comeback. And for a while, it was like a crazy sequence of events. There was an interception, there was a fumble. It felt like destiny and fate was just like handing Tom Brady another magical comeback. But in the end, Von Miller had a big game. He had a few sacks. I forget who it is on the other side, but
Leonard Floyd.
Floyd, yep. Donald, obviously, um, just came through when it mattered, and that in the end, yeah, the Rams, they look solid. I'm still strong on my case, Tyler. I don't think Matt Stafford can put together 4 games in a row that he plays good football.
Yeah, I mean, he has put together a case in the regular season that he can put together 4 games of losing football. So that's always a possibility. The latter, I mean, I guess it's to be seen. Uh, Going into this game, obviously, I knew it was going to be a tough matchup for the Bucks. Obviously, losing earlier into the season against the Rams. This Rams team bolstered their team, adding Von Miller, adding OBJ. But at the end of the day, the biggest weapon was Cooper Kupp, and he really proved to absolutely destroying this Buccaneers secondary. A lot of plays that happened in week 5 or whatever week it was happened today again where, miscues and miscommunications between the cornerbacks, the safeties, Cooper Kupp, opening up in the flats or into the deeper of the secondary to get wide open. Really disrupted the whole entire sequence of what the Bucks had. They were going on a roll. Later in the game, Cooper Kupp, there he was. At the end of the game when it was 27-27, Cooper Kupp right there for another 30-yard bomb. Rams kick it to win the game. The biggest thing I will say is I was going to say during that game, Brady has to be the luckiest person in NFL history because a lot of things, Cooper Kupp fumbling, Cam Akers fumbling, 4 turnovers between the Rams, to have the Bucs stay in the game, it was happening. And I was like, Brady has to be the luckiest person in NFL history because he's about to win this game off of a lot of mishaps, a lot of fumbles, a lot
Yeah.
of, crazy plays at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, the Rams, I feel like it was a little too early or too little too late for the Bucs to come back. The Rams had that strong first half where the Bucs couldn't come back from.
Yeah, no, another situation that'll be interesting to follow in the offseason, Tom Brady, see what he decides to do. If I had to guess, he's probably going to run it back at least one more time, just being the competitor he is. He doesn't want to go out like that. Yeah, I'm sure he would love to end on a Super Bowl win. It's probably still possible. But yeah, at the end of the day, Rams were a better football team. I can't get over Cooper Kupp's beard though. That thing is just so straggly. I like trim it up or baby face it or something. Like decent looking guy, but he's just got like a fucking pube patch all over his face. It's just very off putting.
The one thing I will say about the Bucs is the only person that they're really, I think the biggest free agent that they have is obviously Chris Godwin, who wasn't playing in the game, out for the season with the torn ACL. If they could somehow get him back into the lineup to offset Mike Evans being the only target, I could see Tom Brady absolutely saying, "Yeah, run it back." But if they don't get Chris Godwin, I I don't think it's gonna lessen his odds of coming back. I do agree with you. I think Tom Brady's gonna say, "Hey, let's run it back." He's 44, just had one of the best years statistically. He led the NFL in passing yards, passing touchdowns. I mean, what more could the guy have done?
Hmm.
At 44 years old, you're at the top of your game. I don't think he's gonna leave after that, and especially after losing in the divisional round against the Rams, who has traded all their assets that they possibly have, draft picks, everything, to get all these big names, Von Miller, OBJ. They're not going to be here next year. The Rams, this is their year. If they don't win, then
Hmm.
it's a bust. It's win now or, die trying. Where with the Bucs, they have the probably on paper the best defense in the NFL, throughout the NFL of young talent. And, Brady knows that, and he has great wide receivers. Mike Evans had one of the best years of his career. Chris Godwin, before he got injured, had a great year. AB, was having a great year. Gronkowski. So, they have the weapons. I think this is let's take a step back. Tom Brady, I know you're going to come back. We're not going to worry about this.
Yeah, well, I mean, how ironic is it too that there's a good chance we see back-to-back years that the home team or the stadium hosting the Super
Yeah, that's
Bowl,
true.
a team that plays there might be in it. Either way, there's going to be a California team in the Super Bowl from the NFC with the Rams and Niners playing. But yeah, after however many years, like a team hosting the Super Bowl has never played in it, and then now we might see it in back-to-back years.
Yeah, I mean that's absolutely incredible. I mean, I think Brady will come back, and I don't think it's going to be, too far-fetched. Whereas if Aaron Rodgers will come back, might be a little too far-fetched and whatnot. It will be foreseen for the Bucs because obviously their biggest re-signing is Chris Godwin and how they're going to get him restructured into a deal for the Bucs. And if Brady is, because they said today, if Brady is going to sign that one more deal with the Bucs for, his 45th year, him being 45, and going forward. The last game we have,
I'll
Austin.
be lucky if I can walk upstairs at the age of 45. This guy's out here fucking playing quarterback in the NFL.
I saw one play he did, Austin, today, and I was absolutely mesmerized.
Hmm.
This guy stepped up in the pocket, missed a absolute sack from Von Miller. And I was thinking to myself, this guy is 44 years old, stepping up into the pocket, missing a sack from Von Miller. And I'm having a hard time sitting up on my couch to grab my Bud Light seltzer.
Yeah.
And this guy's doing that. And I'm just like, kudos to him. Because I feel like when we were younger, Austin, guys like Brett Favre, you're like, oh, he's he's really old, he's moving around like an old man. And then I'm 26, having a hard time reaching for the Doritos on the couch. And
Yeah.
I'm saying, you know what, Tom, I get where you're coming from, my guy, and you're doing a great job, and I appreciate you.
Oh, for surely. I mean, he's just defying the laws of physics. He's, Tom Button. This guy's aging in reverse. He's having his statistically best season ever,
Yep.
and he's fucking old enough to be a grandpa.
I will say one thing, Austin. I don't know if you saw it, but AB tweeted that a picture of him running across the Meadowlands with his shirt off and
I saw that.
a thing hanging above his head saying the Bucks eliminated. If AB gets signed to any team in the NFL, I will boycott that team. I'll throw toilet paper on their. I'll fly out there and I'll throw toilet paper on their stadium. AB is an absolute joke. And Austin, the league that you were referring to last week is the USFL.
Yes.
And that's where he belongs, and that's where he shall stay for the rest of his career because he's a joke. And honestly, AB, your music is absolute dog water. Lil Pump puts out better music than you.
Nope.
So get your ratings up, my guy.
Yeah, I mean, luckily for you, there's a pretty good chance that he doesn't go to the Raiders, so you can say that pretty comfortably that you can boycott whatever
Yes.
team.
Yes, very comfortably.
And he wouldn't go back to the Bucks, so your two teams, you're pretty much safe.
Hey, I'm set, man. I mean, possibility of the Packers.
No. We don't want them. We got enough fucking issues already.
Yeah. Let me stop bringing up the Packers. Last game we got Sunday night, the game that just ended here on the broadcast, Bills at Chiefs. Absolutely electric game, fresh on the mind. Austin, what are your instant reactions to this game, and how do you feel about it?
I mean, it was incredible. Luckily I got home from my adventure picking up my car and walking around Balboa Island to get batteries for my key fob in time to see the whole fourth quarter and into overtime. But we kind of got screwed. I'm gonna say this should have been the AFC Championship game. The
Right.
Titans kind of messed that up by stealing the number one seed. Whereas if the Chiefs had got the one seed, they probably beat the Bengals. And then I would assume the Bills would have beat the Titans. But yeah, no, phenomenal game. The over had to be the lock of the century in this one. I don't know what it was at. I think it was like 57. Whereas I'm looking at it right now, 42-36. So 78 points were scored in this one. It's unfortunate. You hate to see games like this end. I mean, really, it was like whoever had the ball last was going to win the game. I had a feeling whoever won the overtime toss was just going to march down the field and score. And I think if the Bills had won the toss, they would have done that too. However, just, luck of the draw, Chiefs win. But it's just insane. I'm looking at this game and I don't understand like how Tyreek Hill, how Travis Kelce, I forget who the other one was on that last drive.
Nicole Coleman.
Hardman.
Hardman.
But how are they so wide open? I mean, these are guys
Let me
that are
tell
like
you
the
how
best in
wide
the
open
league.
they are, Austin. The reason why they're so wide open is because the Bills are missing Tre'Davious White, their best cornerback, out for the season. And on the other side of the ball, I forget who they have, number 30, who is an absolute menace to society in Buffalo, who has been a liability since day one. They have no coverage in the flats. Their cornerbacks are newbie A and newbie B. They don't have anybody that is an all pro like Tre'Davious White. They don't have anybody that they can trust. They're absolutely Tyreek Hill can wreak havoc as he will because there's nobody there. There's nobody good at cornerback for the Bills. The guy that they have out for the season. Then you got Jordan Poyer, who is obviously a known alcoholic, doesn't know how to step one foot in front of the other. And Micah Hyde, former Green Bay great, obviously, is having to make up for what Jordan Poyer can't do. The biggest problem with the Bills and how they're going to succeed going forward is to rebolster their secondary. Get rid of Jordan Poyer, number one. he's a fraud. He's not even good. He shouldn't even be a captain. Tre'Davious White, obviously injured. Keep him. Micah Hyde, great. They need another cornerback, though. The cornerback position on the left-hand side, or whoever's offsetting the best wide receiver on the team, that's wide open. And all you have to do is shift Tyreek Hill open or put him in the slot, and that's why he was getting so wide open and running all over the field.
Yeah, it's just insane. It's like, oh, when the Bills go down and score that touchdown to take the lead, it's like you don't want to leave Mahomes too much time.
Right.
They go down, would they get a field goal or something, and then 13 seconds left, and he gets like.
No, they get a touchdown. The Bills got a touchdown.
No, the Chiefs before their last field goal. I forget if they scored or they kicked
No,
the
they
field
scored.
goal. Yeah.
They scored.
Well, anyways, and then it's like, do they have enough time to score on that drive? And there's two more drives that occurred after that. Like,
1 minute, 1 minute and 2 seconds, Austin. If you had 1 minute and 2 seconds as a Packers fan specifically, that's too much time for Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
If I'm a Bills fan, I'm thinking that's too much time for Josh Allen. I think he can rush on the field and get us there. He left 13 seconds on the clock for Patrick Mahomes, and that ended up being too much time.
Well, another special teams blunder, in my opinion, Tyler. I'm not sure why they didn't squib kick it. The Chiefs had, 2 or 3 timeouts at that point, 13 seconds.
Yep.
Take some more time off the clock. Like, Mahomes is going to drive the ball. You just want to, not give him as many opportunities, whereas they kicked the ball into the end zone, touchback, and he has a full 13, 2 or 3 timeouts, however many they had at that point, and I guess 13 seconds is a long time. I mean, most girls don't think that's the case, but who knows?
In the NFL, 13 seconds is a long time, Austin, especially when Patrick Mahomes is at quarterback, but I agree with you 100%. The matter of the fact is that Sean McDermott his head needs to be on the stand, because you're right. They should have not only squib kicked it, but maybe kicked it in the air at the 10-yard line. I know kickers have control over how far they can kick, and he needs to realize my secondary, my defense is not stopping Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce right now. Why am I going to give, so much of the field and spread my defense out thin to Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce to do what they do? And that's exactly what happened. They let they went into full coverage, hoping nothing goes deep. And the matter of the fact is, when Travis Kelce or Tyreek Hill, I think went out, they let the whole inside of the field in, and allowing Travis Kelce or Tyreek Hill to go in, and he had that whole entire field. The guy at cornerback number 39 or whoever it was should have pushed him out, because it's a harder throw to throw it out with Patrick Mahomes than to throw it in. It just, how am I a guy on the No Look podcast telling an NFL, defensive coordinator in the Buffalo Bills how to absolutely run your defense? It makes no sense to me. You have to know situational, especially when you have the timeouts that the Bills had and the time to do so.
Yeah, I mean,
you can't be a doo-doo head dummy at the end of the day.
Right, I think they kind of were in the defense, and I was saying the same thing to myself too. I was like, why aren't they just in like a prevent, zone coverage defense? The line that they're trying to get, like, keep it all in front and make the tackle inbounds. But I guess like Tyreek Hill just like speed kills, because they allowed him to catch it over the middle. They were set up. I mean, there was like 5 guys there, but Tyreek just fucking went like Madden mode in the gauntlet and just ran around everyone, scored a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing was that they rushed 4 guys, and Patrick Mahomes, obviously in that time frame, is gonna get the ball out within less than 1 second. So why are you rushing 4 guys when you could push 1 guy back and potentially help your secondary stop a pass coming through, or help prevent something in the middle of the field, Tyreek Hill going across the middle, or Travis Kelce? And the matter of fact is, it was just poor defensively schemed, series right there. 13 seconds. I'm thinking, if I'm Josh Allen, I won this game. The matter of the fact is, number 2, Austin, tails always fails, and we proved this on many coin flips. Josh Allen should have called heads. I always call heads because they always say tails never fails, but it does. And that's why you lost the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a tough situation because then if it is tails, you're like, oh, well, I'm a fucking idiot. Whereas, like, if it's tails, it's like, that's the smart, logical, guess. Because then if it's heads, it's like, well, I guess it does fail sometimes, but whoever told me tails never fails was wrong. That's on them, it's not on
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Yeah. I always pick heads because of the tails never fails. I always like to think opposite. But when he called tails, I'm like, you lost that. I'm like, but I mean, the Chiefs come down overtime. Travis Kelce catches it, gets
I'm
that
gonna
touch.
flip a coin and whatever it lands on, you give me head or tail.
Deal. Travis Kelce scores the touchdown. Game over. Chiefs move on to the AFC Championship. NFL is rigged, Austin. I told you Chiefs are meant to go to the playoffs. So let's get
Yeah,
into
well,
it.
so are the Packers. What happened there?
Uh, well, the NFL is rigged, and they want to see the team that is hosting the Super Bowl playing the Super Bowl for the second year in a row for ratings. Now you're going to get Stafford versus Packers or Stafford versus Chiefs, and I'm calling that here right now. Those are my
If
official picks.
if the Bengals win and go to the Super Bowl, I will completely like stop my NFL is rigged take because that would be terrible for ratings. Obviously they want the Chiefs there. They probably would hope for the Rams. But if, like I said, if the Bengals win, go to the Super Bowl, I will hand up admit that the NFL is not rigged.
I'll agree with you on that point, Austin. If this is a no look podcast, seal of approval. If both me and Austin agree, Bengals win, the NFL is not rigged. If the Bengals lose, I'm shaking your hand. Bengals lose, the NFL is still rigged. The rig is on. Austin, first game, championship round, AFC Championship, 3 o'clock on Sunday. Bengals at Chiefs. Bengals traveling to Arrowhead to play the Chiefs. Obviously, big news Bengals. They're playing out of their minds right now. If I was a betting man, obviously I can't be in Florida anymore. I would bet the fuck out of the over in this game.
Yeah.
But I will ask you first, Austin. Bengals at Chiefs. Who do you have and why?
Yeah, like you said, the over is definitely a lock. I wouldn't be surprised if there's like 100 points scored total. It's gonna be a shootout, Tyler. Um, I just think we're talking about my formulas and pretty much all the games that happened this weekend. It's like whoever won the turnover battle had the time of possession, typically won the game. I think the Chiefs have a little bit better defense, and I think at this point in their respective careers, I would give Mahomes the edge up over Burrow. Um, yeah, I mean they're pretty much like it's like the Spider-Man meme, where they're pointing at each other because these teams are pretty much carbon copies of each other.
Right.
A lot of good skill position players, receivers, dynamic offenses. The defenses can be lacking. What's that?
I was pointing at you,
Oh,
like the Spider-Man meme.
oh yeah. Um, Obviously we saw like what happened when Tyrann Mathieu went on in the game. Definitely hurt. Gabriel Davis absolutely torched that, secondary. Josh Allen, Davis had like a career like
No, postseason record.
all time, yeah, type of game. Um, but with that being said, like yeah, I'm just going back to the point. I'm talking around it like I normally do, Tyler. I think the Chiefs are a better football team. They have a lot more experience. I'm not going to be mad at either outcome though. Like, I got family that works for the Chiefs, root for them. I like Burrow, Chase, Mixon, all those guys. So for me, with no ties to either team, really, Packers are out. I wouldn't be upset with either of those teams going to the Super Bowl. But I predict it will be the Chiefs.
Well, I'm gonna agree with you, Austin. And obviously, for obvious reasons, it's why I'm picking the Chiefs. Their offense much more dynamic than the Bengals. I think Tyreek Hill is an absolute menace to society. Travis Kelce is a versatile tight end. I won't say he's the best in the league, but he's the best in the AFC. And
Fuck.
their
No
defense,
peripherals in this bag here. I almost just fucking spilled my water.
their defense, with or without Tyrann Mathieu, is wreaking havoc especially in the defensive front. Chris Jones, Frank Clark, they're doing a lot, and they're causing a difference in the game. So I think the Chiefs are by far the biggest threat, in to win the Super Bowl this season. And I've been saying this since weeks in the past. I think they're going to win the Super Bowl this year. And I think they're going to absolutely, I don't want to say the S word, Austin, but I think it's going to be
You think so?
all Chiefs in the championship round.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to look. I think the last game they played earlier in the year, the Bengals won. That was in Cincy, yeah. So again, Arrowhead, tough place to play, especially in the playoffs. There's elements. The crowd there is notably loud. It'll be tough, but this will be a true testament. I think, like you said, the Bengals. There wasn't very many expectations for them this year. If the Bengals go into Arrowhead, beat the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, that is like a win on the season for me. Young quarterback, second year, going into a juggernaut, really the top team in the AFC for how many years now? I think this would be like their fourth Super Bowl in a row if they make it. So that for me, if they go in win against the Chiefs in Arrowhead, like that's a win on the season, no matter what happens in the Super Bowl.
No, I agree 100%. I mean, obviously the Bengals season is a full-fledged win because a lot of people were predicting them to finish way further down, not even make the playoffs from the get. And this Bengals team has proved that they're going to be a problem for futures to come. The thing is, though, Austin, is that the Chiefs have been a problem, and they will continue to be a problem for as long as they can continue to have those guys around them. Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce, probably the best trio in all of football. Their line absolutely rebolstered. I don't think the Bengals have what your team needs defensively to stop this Chiefs team. They're a good team. They're scrappy. I just don't think they're as good to stop. Obviously the Chiefs have the run, but they have such a dynamic force in the receiving core with Hardman, Hill, and Kelce. But I think this is going to be all Chiefs, especially being in Arrowhead. If this was in a neutral site, I could possibly pick the Bengals. If this was in Cincinnati, maybe. But in Arrowhead, I feel like that's an unwinnable situation, especially after seeing the Bills lose tonight.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what happens, you can't take away the fact that Joe Burrow is just fucking cool. Like,
Yeah, super cool.
his swag, like his outfits, just how calm he is in those post-game interviews. I mean, it's almost like Tom Brady-esque, where he's like a robot, shows no emotions. He's just like all about the game. So I think the Bengals got a good one for years to come.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm the Bengals, I'm surrounding this guy with an offensive line and just waiting maybe 2 to 3 years, and they'll be exactly where the Chiefs are. If they bolster their defense a little bit, this Bengals team is exactly where the Chiefs are, of 3 years of the past. Next game we got, Austin, NFC Championship game, Niners at Rams, NFC West divisional rivals. The Niners have beat the Rams the past 2 times this season. Will they make it 0-3, Austin? What's your pick in this game and why?
I don't think so. I think McVay and the Rams figure out how to get it done against Shanahan and the Niners, who have been, their kryptonite. Obviously, they're playing at home, which helps. SoFi Stadium. It'll all depend on Stafford, right? If he goes out there and just plays, an average game, finds Cooper Kupp, Akers, hand the ball off. Like the defense is going to do what the defense does. Like Von Miller, he's going to get sacks. Ramsey, he got burnt by Mike Evans today, but he's pretty much a solid, stout cornerback coverage guy. Debo Samuel is a tough guy to game plan for, just how dynamic he is. He's a solid receiver. They line him up in the backfield. But I think, like we're talking about, Tyler, the Rams, have been in win now mode, and they went out, got all these guys, rejuvenated Odell Beckham's career, one of the best pass rushers of all time. They have arguably the best defensive player in the league. Again, contingent on Matthew Stafford's play, I think he goes out there and gets it done at home.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to agree with you on this one. I have the Rams versus the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Like I said, or I aforementioned, the Rams will be hosting the Super Bowl just like the Bucs did last year, versus the Chiefs. I don't think that it's going to be as far-fetched as a game as the Bengals at Chiefs, but I think it's going to be a lot closer. The Niners will probably lead for most of the game, but the Rams will find a way to pull it out. Matthew Stafford is playing out of his mind, out of body experience, I should say, for what Matthew Stafford is used to, because this is his first NFC Championship game or championship game in general. OBJ's first one too. We are going to see a Rams team that this is why they put the players in this position, adding Von Miller, adding OBJ, adding all these big names to this roster, Matthew Stafford, because they believe in this team in a win now situation. And if not now, then when, Austin, and it is going to be now. This Niners team is here to stay, but this Rams team is here for the temporary. They're proving it time and time again. Their defense is only getting stronger, and so is their offense. I do think that it's going to be very hard to beat this Rams team 3 times in a row, and that's why it's going to stop here in SoFi, and the Rams are going to take that dub against the Niners. I hate to say it, Austin. My gut wants the Bengals versus Niners so bad in the Super Bowl. So bad. So bad. But what I know is going to happen, because the NFL is rigged, Chiefs versus the Rams.
Yeah, I mean, Matthew Stafford, you kind of got to root for him, right? He's just like such a nice guy, stand-up, family man. We have this debate. I don't think if...
Can I ask you that?
What?
At this point, is Matthew Stafford a Hall of Famer?
Not right now. If he wins a Super Bowl, he gets my vote of approval. But without a Super Bowl, I don't think so.
So even if he wins this championship game and loses a Super Bowl, he's still not a Hall of Famer.
No.
So he is 5 yards away, Austin, from going 50,000 passing yards in the NFL. Still not a Hall of Famer.
No. He needs one chip underneath his belt. I mean, how many quarterbacks are Hall of Famers that haven't won a Super Bowl? Like, there's Marino.
How many quarterbacks are NFL Hall of Famers without winning a Super Bowl?
I mean, I'm sure there's more, but it's like you got to be incredible, and have like multiple winning seasons. Like Marino, the Dolphins, they were there, year in, year out. Matthew Stafford just won his first playoff game this season.
Dan Fouts, Warren Moon, Sonny Jurgensen, Ken, and Shriney's all have never made it to the Super Bowl. They've never even been there. Marino, Kelly, Fran Tarkenton have been to the Super Bowl but have never won it. So
right, but like look at that. Like Kelly went to 4 straight Super Bowls. It's like if Stafford had gone to 4 straight Super Bowls, yeah, but just making it to 1, I don't think that's enough with his current stats.
But the aforementioned never even been to 1 and already in the Hall of Fame.
Right. I mean, again, look at the numbers. Like Warren Moon, that guy was crazy. He's got all times of passing records.
Yeah, but Matthew Stafford is far beyond Warren Moon, far beyond Sonny Jurgensen. I mean, the guy has had Calvin Johnson in his career, now Cooper Kupp in terms of receiving yards. I mean, I said this a long time ago. He obviously belongs in the Hall of Fame now, let alone when he finally retires from the NFL is going to be a completely different story because, mind you, the guy is only 33 years old.
Right, but I mean, again, like it's almost like inflated numbers. He's playing with, 2 of the top, receivers of all time, statistically in a single season. Like
Why do you hate the guy?
I don't hate the guy. Like I said, he's a nice guy. I would root for him to win a Super Bowl, but I'm just being realistic right now. I don't think, what he's done thus far in his career warrants him being in Canton.
What warrants him being in Canton?
Winning a Super Bowl with these numbers.
Why?
Because, like, I don't know. maybe I'm a little bit biased. Obviously, like you said, there's guys that haven't won a Super Bowl, haven't even made it to a Super Bowl in the Hall of Fame. But like for me, Hall of Famers should be like the best of the best, and I feel like winning a Super Bowl is like part of that equation. Like it shouldn't just be statistics or numbers.
Although I agree with you, like obviously you should be a champion of the game. A lot of those guys aren't a part of teams or get lucky enough to be a part of teams like Matthew Stafford playing in Detroit for however many years, not even having the opportunity to play in playoff games, although he did have one season where he was allowed to, or two seasons. And, you got guys like Tom Brady or Drew Brees or Peyton Manning who play in it consistently because they have a good team. So I feel like you're giving Matthew Stafford the short end of the stick because the guy is absolutely balling. I mean, he's a baller. He's a gunslinger. He's a good quarterback given what situation he's in.
Yeah, but that's kind of just like I feel like that is just a testament to where we are at, in the NFL. Like back in the day, there's not going to be crazy passing statistics because it was just like more of a hard nose. Like these guys aren't as good athletes. They're running the ball a lot. Whereas now, like, I think there's a lot of guys that won't make the Hall of Fame that will end their careers with more passing yards than Matt Stafford. Just because like how pre, you know prevalent the passing attack is in today's football.
So now you're saying that the Hall of Fame credentials are changing because the game is changing.
Yeah, I mean, keep up with the times, Grandpa. We gotta renovate, innovate, excuse me. You know, there's more games, right? The statistics are going to be padded. There's an extra game in the season. Um,
But let me ask you a
yeah, I
question.
mean,
What about the fact of the matter that you're facing a much higher breed of a player? You're facing teams that have Aaron Donalds, TJ Watts, JJ Watts, Tre'Davious Whites, Jair Alexanders, especially at the quarterback position, Devin White's, big name linebackers, Bobby Wagner. You're facing these guys at every single position that are much better than what they were facing of the past.
very, very solid point there. But with that being said, like, there's ways to counter that, and I just feel like listen, I don't make the rules. The quarterback is the most scrutinized position. Like, I feel like if you're a wide receiver or a running back, like, yeah, you can get into the Hall of Fame without winning a Super Bowl because, like you said, maybe he's on a bad team. But if you're a franchise quarterback, you are the guy. Like, you got to be held to a higher standard than all these other position players.
At the end of the day, listen, Matthew Stafford finishes with 60 to 70,000 passing yards. He finishes with, let's say 400 to 500 passing touchdowns. You're not going to include him in, and he doesn't win a Super Bowl. You're not going to include him in the talks of Hall of Fame.
Not me personally, but he
Oh
probably will make
my
it.
God.
I'm just keeping it real. I'm keeping it a buck.
That's like that's like me saying Travis Kelce isn't the best tight end in the league. We both know that the guy is, and we both know Matthew Stafford's gonna make it to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he probably will, but I'm just saying, in my opinion, I don't think it's valid.
And you're stubborn, and I love it. So you have the Rams in this game against the Niners?
Yes.
Okay. So the No Look podcast has both the Chiefs beating the Bengals and the Rams beating the Niners to move on to the Super Bowl 56, I believe. Chiefs at Rams. I will say at Rams because it's in SoFi. Austin, anything else that you have for today's show?
No, I'm just gonna project a better week, hopefully my upcoming days are better than my last couple days. I'm gonna take this bag off my head, go watch Euphoria and do a Sonny Jurgensen.
Nice. That's a callback if you
Yeah.
don't know in the industry. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I'm very sad that the Bills lost. I'm very sad that the Bucks lost. But
Yeah, fuck
there
the
is one.
Packers, am I right?
there's one thing that we do have something to look forward to, and that's another week of Sunday Night Football. So gotta look at the positives, Austin. Gotta look at the positives.
Should be good. It's gonna be interesting. I think it's the first time in 12 years no Brady or Rodgers in the championship round. Again, Tyler, times are changing. Got to get used to it.
Yep. Move on or get out of the way.
Yeah. All right. That's another episode. I'm gonna, like I said, take this fucking bag off my head. This shit's getting annoying. But as always, we appreciate you, and you don't gotta go home, but you can't stay here. Until next time.
Love you.